and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As presiding officer of this regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of the Town of West New York held on February 19th at 6 p.m. work session, it is hereby publicly announced and that the record of this announcement shall be placed in the minutes of this meeting and that the notice requirements provided for in the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given by the Board of Commissioners in a resolution dated and adopted December 18, 2013. Said resolution was transmitted by the town clerk, the Jersey Journal, and the Bergen Record, and publicly posted on the municipal bulletin board in the town hall and filed with the town clerk. I'm going to proceed to read the items on the agenda. The first item is approval of minutes for the regular meeting of December 18th and the special meeting of December 31st. We have payment of claims. We have receipt of financial reports for the month of January. We have various communications. The first communication is bid results received on February 4th for improvements to 66th Street and 2013 road improvements. The 4B is bid results received on February 6th for environmental remediation project. 4C, RFQ results received February 12th for litigation Oprah Compliance Council. 4D, RFQ results received February 12th for auditing services. 4E, RFQ results received February 12th for assistant town attorney. 4F, RFQ results received February 12th for staff attorney. And 4G is the town engineer's report dated February 14th. The town engineer is present. Wish to say anything at this point?
I don't have anything additional except what's in my report. Unless there's any questions on any of the projects.
Anybody has a question on the engineer?
Hopefully we could award the road project tonight and we'll get the pre-construction meeting going, and as soon as the weather breaks, we'll...
You want to let them know exactly what you're proposing to do?
Oh, the road project, it
Yeah.
includes parts of 60th Street, 65th, 51st, and 66th Street. And we do have a DOT grant in the amount of $344,000 for the portion.
Well, we're finally getting the roads done.
Okay, if no one has any other comments, I'm going to proceed to the resolutions. I'll read the titles.
Yes, I would like to ask about the remediation. For environmental remediation project, right? Is that referred to the public works building ground?
It's not our project, but I believe it does.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Is that the one about $800,000 that it was bonded for?
That's correct.
That's correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the amount comes to that close amount,
It's just,
800,000?
yeah, it's just under.
Oh my.
Resolutions are as follows. R1, authorizing contract between the Town of West New York and Interactive Office Systems for copier services. R2, authorizing an extension of the interlocal agreement between the Town of Bayonne, Harrison, North Bergen, and the Town of West New York for the position of health officer. R3, authorizing an interlocal agreement between the City of Union City and the Town of West New York for the position of health officer. R4, appointing Nelson Ubera as a member of the West New York Parking Authority Board to fill the unexpired term of John Falca. Term expires January 16th of 2016. R5, authorizing the Town of West New York to prepare an open process in compliance with the pay-to-play statutes for the retention of a public defender for the second occasion. R6 is an amended resolution establishing restricted parking in front of one residence for use by a handicapped resident at 162 61st Street to Jenny Minor. R7, award of contract for the purchase of 2014 Ford F-50 to Buyer Brothers. R8, 2014 sidewalk sales. R9, award of contract for improvements to 66th Street and 2013 roadway improvements to AJM Contractors. R10, authorizing town clerk to advertise to receive bids for improvements to Washington Park. R11, refund of tax lien premiums. R12, refund of redemptions. R13, Hudson County Board Tax Appeals. R14, refund of overpayment of taxes. R15, award of contract for environmental remediation project to Luzone Incorporated. R16, authorizing application for NJ Transit FTA Section 5310 grant program. R17, authorizing the purchase of energy generation services for public use via online reverse auction with Commercial Utility Consultants Incorporated. R18, approval of professional services agreement between the town of West New York and Whipple Azzarello for assistant town attorney.
R18 and R19 are being pulled out.
What about
Okay, so
our 17? We have,
17 stays on, unless you want to change that, Gil?
Why do you guys
Did you say
keep putting
18?
this in there, and then pulling it again, and putting it in and pulling it again?
It was my error.
Is it an error?
It should not have been.
It's just an error.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, so 18 and 19 are being pulled. R20, establishing the election of members of the West New York Board of Education as the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November pursuant to NJSA 19:60-1.A, paragraph 1. Subparagraph 1, excuse me. Resolution R21, approval of professional services agreement between the town of West New York and Genova, Burns, Giotomasi, Webster for a zoning board attorney. R22, awarding a contract to Coyote Builders and Developers for snow removal on an emergency basis pursuant to NJSA 48:11-6. R23, approval of settlement of tax appeal for block 168.01, lot 7.01. R24, authorizing the purchase of special equipment pursuant to NJSA 48:11-51G. R25, approval of professional services agreement between the town of West New York and Lurch, Vinci, and Higgins for auditing services. And R26, approving amendment to the contract with RWDSU Local 108, representing the crossing guards for the term July 1, 2010 through June 30th, 2015. Does anyone have any comments on the resolutions? Actually, there are no ordinances tonight, so it would just be the 26 resolutions.
I got a question. R1, okay, for this copy of services. At the last meeting, we discussed that we were gonna go out to bid for this. And it never went to bid. Now it's sitting here again in front of us, again, just awarding the services again. And we talked about how much money is spent on this. You're talking about re-updating the copiers and changing the whole system again. And I remember we just got a bunch of brand new copies less than 2 years ago.
Whoa, what?
Please.
Everybody
flipping the
It's a
light.
sign.
It's a sign.
And I'm curious about whose idea, or was it to continue going in this direction? We've talked about state contractors, we've talked about that the prices are not always the best.
I believe, Commissioner Wiley, I believe already DeMarco was doing the research on this, but I have no problem if you want to hold on to it next month, and then you and him sit down and find what the cheapest is.
I'd like to go to bid, I mean, we should bid for
Whatever, yeah,
services. Okay.
absolutely. So,
You wanna pull this?
all I know, yeah, let's pull that, and you agree, Gil?
What do you want to do with all of them?
Pull it?
Yeah, no
Pull it
problem,
and
no problem.
reintroduce
So
it.
Mayor,
Do me a favor, just make an appointment with him and sit down and see what the best deal the town could get out of this, okay?
You know, I got a lot of issues with Joe DeMarco's, steps over the line kinda, should I say. Approves projects without authority from the commissioner. He's done that already. I'm sitting with a $6,500 bill on my desk from repairs to the Little League field. Nothing that I was aware of. Okay, but one time he went back, it was about fixing a fence, that was the last thing they told me. He goes in and gives orders to repair things, spending money, which he has no authority to do so.
I agree with you, it should be totally
Okay,
first.
so this has gotta stop. And this is an ongoing thing I have, always with the same problem. R4, I didn't get a resume again on this guy, or any background. I have no idea what color he is, or, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know, when you're asking me again
Did
to
you get
vote
to
for
see them?
something.
No, I was just gonna mention that I don't know who the person is.
Why don't we hold off for that, and then why don't you guys come Monday, make an
'Cause
appointment?
the others we've seen, but not this guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
so Mayor, you want R4 pulled as well?
Yeah, and then make an appointment, I already spoke to the gentleman. Have you spoken to, Ruben? Did you get to speak to Mr. Nelson Rivera already?
No.
Oh, okay, so he's okay. So,
So District Commissioner.
yeah, why don't you guys
And
make
then we
a,
don't know if Commissioner Reyes has spoken to somebody.
I'm not sure either, so you know what,
So
that's a good.
R4 is being pulled as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Wiley?
And, let me skip over this one, let me go to the next one. Okay, the contract, R22. Okay, I know you guys are very fond of Roger for whatever reason, okay? You know,
Coyote.
Coyote Builders, okay, Roger who's the owner. Now, we should have, we bid for these snow services how long ago? We always do that always in early October. The bid was already put out. Why isn't the bid being awarded to the person rather than giving it to somebody who already has a contract with the town to begin with?
As far as I know, and again, I just met Roger actually last week when he was cleaning Burger Line Avenue. He did put in a bid, he was the lowest bid, DeMarco knows about it. Gil, do you have any information on this?
It
I give this for emergency services.
Go ahead.
The reason why we're doing this is as a result of all the snow that has come in.
Yeah.
Yes, it's possible that Mr. Commissioner Wiley's argument that we should have gone out to bid a little earlier, we should have done that, but at this point, it is an emergency contract that we need before we go out and bid almost at the end of the season for this kind of service.
I would say,
So unfortunately, it's emergent.
You know, guys, there's emergency, there's called preparation, and there's no preparation, okay? This bid was put out months ago. And when was the date to receive those bids? I'm sure you got them already.
Do I have to answer?
You don't have to answer it, but if you know you wanna help them, I don't know. Did we,
No,
I have a question.
we didn't.
Right, that's my question. We haven't gone out to bid.
apparently
We
it's an
should
emergency.
have.
So it was approved in a commissioners meeting to go out to bid, and it never went out to
I
bid.
don't remember that, Commissioner. I'm sorry, I don't.
It was approved in a commissioners meeting to go out to bid.
For emergency
I don't remember.
services.
There's no such thing, it's called snow removal.
No, emergency, this resolution is because we have an emergency.
That's right.
But yes, the bid should have been established so that we didn't have to go out for an emergency.
Why don't we just get a
There's no
report to you
such thing.
tomorrow from the QPA as to what happened with that request to have a bid done? Because no one here can answer that question.
This is, you know, listen, I don't like this right now. I'm not happy with even seeing this gentleman's name inside in this part of this, in this resolution to begin with, okay, this Coyote Builders. Again, you know, I got a lot of problems, guys. I got a lot of people doing work, they give me a submission of a bill, and it's got labor $2,000 and materials $300. You know, I have to start getting somebody to overlook this guy now? Do I have to bring another plumber in to make sure that this guy's charging the town? You're charging enormous amounts of money, okay? Because a lot of other things they call emergencies, or they have to go in and do right away, and we're getting billed. I mean, thousands of dollars I went through with this guy already.
Again, Commissioner.
And this isn't, and I told you from the start, this was disaster to start this, to have one guy doing a contract, to handle all the problems in West New York. That's not the way to go. We lost thousands of dollars because of the way this guy's billing. And he brings in a second contractor to do electric, then another guy to do something else.
Let's go out to
It's
bid
costing a
next month.
fortune.
Let's go out to bid.
When you have a job, if it's anything over $2,000, the job should be bidded on. You're not saving money by what's going on here.
Nothing wrong with going out to
Yeah.
bid next month.
We agree. I think he's right.
And I agree now that this should be pulled, this R-22, and this gentleman should not be considered. He already has a contract,
But this is an
in
emergency.
town, it's a conflict of interest.
This
Go
is,
get the bidder who was bidded the lowest.
this work that's done already. That's the emergency.
We had no,
That's under the statute. When work is performed, you adopt a resolution at the next meeting to approve it. That's just how it is.
This thing should have been
Many-
approved 2 months ago.
I already said that tomorrow I'll get a report to you from the QPA as to what happened to that process of bidding for a snow remover under normal circumstances. No one here knows the answer. So we'll have that report to you
Because you
tomorrow.
got it down as awarding it next month. Next month is what? What is this, February already? We're into March. The season breaks already. So what are you wasting the time for? This is not, and then who was in here pulling out snow? It wasn't Roger. There were some
I
other
wouldn't be-
companies here.
I wouldn't be able to answer that.
I'm curious, who are the other companies? Someone's gotta know, someone's signing off on it, maybe, you know, Ruben? That's gotta go through your department.
but I didn't sign it.
So who gave the approval for anybody to come in here and remove snow?
as far as I know, Commissioner.
Without a contract
There
or
was a
resolution?
snowstorm, we had to get the job done. Coyote Builder, was the gentleman to be used, but you're welcome to look at his bill to see what he built. And like you said, we could put it up for bid next month for whenever it snows again, if it snows again. And I agree with what you're saying. I mean, this was, according to what I was told, it was an emergency kind of situation. I was told that they were the lowest, they were very inexpensive, but you could be right, what you're saying. So the idea is to look at what he built and take it from there.
So your thing
And
is
snow is a very expensive process, you
Oh,
know.
it's costing a fortune.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
wanna
I
know
agree.
who was doing the snow removal.
Right.
It wasn't Roger. I wanna know who the company was working out on 60th for the past week and a half, 2 weeks, and the rest of
As
the
far
town.
as I know,
And
it's
nobody
right.
can answer me.
What?
The director of the department can't even answer me. Who's giving the order?
Well, I'm gonna say that Joe DeMarco was in charge by dealing directly with the Coyote builder. And when I was told about it, that they're the cheapest in the area, I go ahead and said it's okay. If you're saying now, you know, I agree with you, let's go out for a bid, let's look at what he built, and we take it from there. I mean, the snow was
In other words,
removed,
if
we got
this-
the mission accomplished.
What's the fee, Carmelo? Now, you're charging so many dollars, right? Now, if it goes over a certain amount of money, it had to go to bid. So whether it was $2,000, $3,000, well, you're breaking the law. That's how I understand it. Not you. I'm asking you a question. You're the straightest person in here I know.
Thank you.
What I'm
Thank you
asking
very
is,
much for that.
when a particular amount of money goes over a certain amount of dollars, am I
I think
right?
you should be directing those questions to the CFO.
So I understand, anything over 2,000's gotta go for a bid, 3 bids.
Yes,
No,
that's
you're
all.
talking about the
Quotes.
the quotes, and it's over $3,750 approximately. And you get 3 quotes.
Yeah.
Anything over, the pay-to-play laws basically trump the fact that the town has a qualified purchasing agent, because 17,500 is the threshold for pay-to-play laws. So you really basically have to be compliant with that as the threshold.
But our threshold is much higher.
It is, it's
36,000.
36,000.
And what do you account for their expenses? Now, I know those days, these guys, and I remember something, when someone goes to a bid, you can't receive that bid unless you have the proper equipment, you got so many dump trucks, there's a required amount. Like when you go out for the towing contract, it's the same thing. These guys gotta have so much yard space, so many, they could fit so many cars. It's the same thing when it's the snow removal. You can't award it to the guy who lives around the corner.
I don't know
In
the
this
answer.
resolution, if you read the resolution, and I don't know why it's included in this resolution, but it does say, whereas the town has recently requested bids for snow removal and intends to award a contract for this service at its next scheduled meeting. I don't believe that is referring to this emergency contract. That must be the conclusion of the bid process that you're referring to for the actual contractor for snow, but removal. But this particular award is pertaining to the emergencies of the various snowstorms that we've had, and apparently Coyote Builders was the contractor performing those services in the interim, without an award to one that was bid.
Listen,
So,
if I'm Coyote, you call Count Wiley's Construction. Well, I don't have trucks, but I'm gonna go get a guy who has 10 dump trucks, this, and we're gonna build through me. What's going on here is not correct, okay? The bidding process is not correct. The steps weren't taken which were correct.
an emergency resolution is being
But
offered
it shouldn't have been an
tonight.
emergency. We have
This
people
is,
right now
the
with a bid.
statute is here.
Why isn't it on this one?
Commissioner, this is a legal binding statute to provide for an emergency contract. What you're talking about is something different. So you have an interim period here. I told you that we would have the QPA give you an answer as to the process in the bidding. We'll have that for you tomorrow. We can't answer that question. If you want more answers as to who these strange vendors were on the street cleaning,
Yeah.
again, no one here knows, so we'll give you that answer tomorrow as well.
It's gonna cost thousands of dollars again. Let me ask you this now. This gets approved, so that now he's allowed to be paid
Absolutely.
for something that he shouldn't have been doing in the first place.
It's an emergency. He was the vendor awarded the contract under the statute for an emergency contract. Whether it was
I'm gonna
Coyote.
investigate this because
Please, yes.
the poor commissioner doesn't even know, I never signed it on anything. He has no idea. And nobody can do anything without his approval. He needs
Well,
his signature.
I
So
certainly
you just do
didn't.
whatever you guys
I
wanna
don't
do
have
and you put
any
together?
answers for you. I don't hire
What do we hear as
contractors
commissioners for?
to take action. Based on this, those are questions, unfortunately, our administrator isn't here tonight, who probably does have the answers. Unfortunately, he isn't here. So,
I'll investigate this obviously, but there's no way in heck I'm gonna approve this. And I think it is, the commissioner, you put yourself under liability by doing this. This wasn't done properly. This was done months ago. The comptroller would not go for this, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say,
There's no
Commissioner,
emergency.
the fact that it's being done, I believe the legal department already has looked at it and it's appropriate. Am I right, Gil?
This resolution is
It's an
appropriate,
emergency, it's not
yes.
an emergency. We had
Well,
already a bid, we should have did it last
You
month.
don't
You had
believe
the
it's an
bids.
emergency. We are asking the commissioners to make a vote that it is in fact an emergency as a result of all the inclement weather and all the snow that we've had.
I can't do
Now,
it.
should we have had a bid? Yes.
Yes.
We should have. We don't. This is the second best option at this point.
No, but we had the bid, you know. They went to bid. People provided their bids. Was I gotta go pull out an old resolution for you? You don't remember what you voted on the last 2 months?
Commissioner, you'll have an answer by tomorrow.
I'm voting no to this. I think, again, I'm gonna just, as advice to you guys, whether the attorney says, and he hasn't been right about everything, I wouldn't vote on this. You're gonna put yourself in liability. I'm sorry. If it's about money, they can wait till next month to see if it is legal.
If it is about money, they can wait till next month. I think that's a very
So why
proper.
don't we wait for next month?
That's
And
a very
provide
good
the
idea.
person who had the bid.
Yes.
I don't see why that couldn't
And
be done
I,
this
you know,
week.
if Mr. DeMarco would have been here, I guarantee you he would have been able to explain this, but unfortunately. he
So we're
couldn't.
pulling it.
Yeah, I agree with the commissioner, you know, if you can wait, then let's find the,
It's not, this happened already. We don't have to vote on it tonight, not knowing things. Might as well just wait.
all right, that's a good idea.
I don't have a problem with that.
Sorry?
And the other one is,
Just for information, number 24.
Dan, I was gonna,
24,
it was about that, but
24.
Who's raising this, Commissioner?
No, I'm just commenting, this is ours, this is police.
Okay, so
Just to make it a little more clarifying. This is a grant, all right, we're working with grant money, all it's costing us is about $500, correct me if I'm wrong, $500. And this is special confidential equipment that we need for the detectives.
Could I interrupt you for 1 second so that we don't lose the thought?
No, go ahead.
What Marge is in essence telling you is that an exception to bidding is an emergency contract. That's what she's referring to the statute. The statute that you see in the resolution, that's an exception. We can make an exception to bidding. Is bidding the best way to go about it? Yes. Should we have done it? Yes. Why didn't we do it? I don't know the answer. But at this point, that's an exception. And it's permitted by law, and a vote can be taken.
let me ask, but Carmelo, when you apply and you get the bids, they come in on April 2nd or whatever date it is that they have to provide the bid. What did you do with it beyond then? Did you not bring it to the law department? Did it not get to where it needed to go? So that this
I
can.
don't feel I should be put in the middle of this.
Well, you're the only one that was been controlling the bids, so I need an
I don't
honest
control
answer as a
anything.
commissioner.
I don't control anything.
So
I don't
when you
think
got
I
the
should be
bids, what'd you
placed
do
in a
with it?
position
Why don't we do this?
What did I do with it?
Yeah, you got all
I do
the
what I do
envelopes,
by
you opened
law.
them up.
I follow the law.
Okay, so what was the next step?
You're making a statement with the assumption that there were bids received in October. Without having that documentation in front of me, I can't confirm or disaffirm what you just said. That's number one.
But you recall, so we did put
I
the
didn't
bid
say
out.
that either. I didn't say that.
So you're just
You're
gonna,
saying
you're
that.
gonna
No,
play, you
no,
don't know.
I can't attest to something without having it in front of me. If you would like, I can check it between now and the regular session and be more than happy to give everybody the information. But I don't have that in front of me. There's two different issues here. I don't feel that I, as a town clerk, should have to explain the law, because we have a town attorney, we have a CFO, and we have various other experts in the room. But if you'd like me to, I will. I don't feel it's my position to
But
do
he's
that.
asking a question
I
regarding
don't
whether
know
or
if we
not we.
received bids in October.
Neither
I'd
do
have
I.
to check my office.
But I am
I'm being honest
telling
with you, I don't know
him,
that.
But out
I'm
of
telling
fairness, out of
him,
fairness,
But
yeah.
his position is, if I understand it correctly, he's saying that this would not have been an emergency had we gone out, number one,
Right.
earlier in the
Right.
beginning of the season as opposed to in February. Is that not what you're saying?
yeah.
Well, that's
Okay.
what we normally
And
did.
secondly, what
We
he's
did.
saying, which I have to be able to confirm, which I can't do that until I go back to my office, his second point is that if we did have a bid several months ago, why wasn't that awarded? Why did this emergency become due? So there's two aspects of this. Am I right? Does everybody else understand?
Let's get it off the agenda and we'll
Yeah,
deal with
we'll deal with it tomorrow.
But we can do this, an emergency agreement can be made. If it will please everyone, we'll get it off the agenda, we'll put it in for the next meeting.
Very good.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, no. If I can get the information depending on what time this meeting ends and what time the other one starts, I'll be more than happy to provide you with updated information as to whether or not Commissioner Wiley is correct in saying that we received them back in October. I don't know that
Nonetheless,
for
it
a
should
fact,
be
but I'll
held
be more than
anyway.
happy to be able to confirm that.
Nonetheless, we're gonna hold it, correct?
Yeah, let's look into it.
All right, I don't know if anybody had a question on that, number 24, which is, so that it has, because he has no amount, and it's not very explicit, it's going to be used for special detectives, confidential equipment, and it's only costing us $500. It's about 4 pieces of equipment.
$500, the total?
Is a total for the taxpayer, yeah.
5,000 of it is coming out of our law enforcement trust fund, which is our proceeds of drug confiscated money that the prosecutor allows. And something that's needed in today's terrorism day and age, and it puts us right on the forefront, being right on, on the front lines with intelligence gathering and being ready in case there is another attack.
He's giving more information than you.
I just wanted to-
Very good.
He's in
Yeah,
the middle of it.
that's right. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, the other question here, what house is this, or what street, block 168, lot 701?
Which
Because
resolution?
it caught my attention at R23, that it was off on the back of the page.
What number is that now?
R23, you can look at the resolution.
It doesn't say.
It doesn't say the
I see,
house,
yeah.
what particular house.
Do you need to know
Give me 1 minute, I
specifically?
could probably.
Yeah, I like to know the address, so I'm more familiar with who the owner is.
So please decide whether you want to answer.
It's Roseland for the waterfront lots. The appeal is for a tax year 2010, 11, 12, and 13. Roseland has agreed to withdraw the 2010 and 11 appeals in return for the valuation of the property so long as it is adjusted for 2012 and 2013. Thank you.
And the last one, which I'm sure everybody's got an interest in this room, establishing the elections for the Board of Education, pushing them to November.
Which number is that, R20?
R20. Mayor, were you not against the Board of Education elections?
When you say against, what is the
Were you
definition?
against it? Did you want to see it happen?
To be honest with you?
Well, I hope so.
Well, listen, you know what, the way I look at life is whatever the people decide, it has turned into a very political volleyball, like to say. So you have a team out there that's putting a lot of energy, people that supposedly don't have any money, all of a sudden are sending a lot of flyers, and there's a lot of money being put behind. So I ask myself the question, why is this happening? Supposedly, this is gonna be, the board was gonna be picked by the residents of West New York, but now we having a lot of people that putting a lot of money to make sure that they win this election. And I ask myself, what's the purpose? So if you ask me what do I believe about this, I think it should be a transparent way of an election process. In a way, I'm happy that the mayor doesn't have to appoint anybody anymore. It could be done by the taxpayer, but that's what I do believe now. And by the way, the two candidates that won, I have some good feelings about them, because I knew, one of them I do know, Matthew Chang, nicest guy, and I actually know him when I was doing my recall. The other lady, I don't know her as much, but what I have to say is, it seems to me that there's a selected group of people that are putting a lot of money behind this. Then I say to myself, why? And why are they pushing now to have this election in April, when, number one, they always advocate about saving taxpayers' money, but you know already it's gonna cost us another $80,000. Now, my question is, can the Board of Education spend another $80,000? What's gonna happen to our budget? What's gonna happen to, the taxpayers when we have to tell them that we're gonna have to spend more money? And then the answer to your question is, is it gonna be a diluted, voting if we have it in April in comparison to have a lot more people, voted on it in November? So my opinion is the more people involved, the better the outcome will be. And so if you ask me, my personal opinion, I say, let's save some taxpayer money, and at the same time, let's have a lot of people express their democratic, opinion about this.
Now, you also say that a lot of people spent money. Did you endorse two candidates?
I recommended, yes, I recommended two candidates, correct. I believe you recommended also, right?
And you spent money behind this, right?
Yes, I did. And did you spend money?
I didn't spend anything.
Oh, you did? Okay,
I'm not paying money.
okay.
I just believe in people, I'll support them if I believe they're the right people.
And
for
let me
the
ask you a
job.
question. The two candidates that I recommended, do you believe they were good candidates, or you believe they were bad candidates?
Not at all. You know, I question your ability on appointing people. Obviously,
Okay.
the last people you've appointed to this board is
Mhm.
pretty much caused it to go where it did,
Okay.
and it deteriorated.
Now, who do you recommend?
Well, that's coming, we got a new election coming. But I
No,
think,
but
now
who
this
do
is
you
my
recommend?
answer to your question,
Okay.
okay? I think Chang was beautiful, I think Palermo's a
Well, I
great
don't think he's
person for the
beautiful.
board.
He's
Well, I
nice
think they're
guy.
good people for the board.
Good
I think
people,
they're gonna eliminate a lot of what's been going on in there. There's gonna be a lot of voice, the people's voice being heard, not
Okay.
your particular voice.
Now, when you say my particular voice,
Your
what do you-
influence on the board.
and you're implying that I have an influence on the board, and you're implying that when you and I did a recall, the other administration, at that time, you were saying that they had an influence on the board.
They didn't do it, let me tell you something, the people they appointed were much more qualified than the ones you did.
Okay, you
I really,
say that.
it's sad.
Okay.
It's really sad.
So, in other words, you're saying that by this process, it's gonna be
How
better
come
for
we
the
didn't have the
town?
problems
And
we're
I
getting
agree with
now?
you. I agree with you.
The board's a nightmare, you know that. But the
Listen,
people you
At the
appointed
end,
was
of
a
the
disaster.
Okay, let me ask you, Christine Pissarelli, to you, she's not an educated person?
That was the best choice, and I recommended her.
Okay, you did, good. How about Adrian
That was the
Sears?
only one I
Adrian
recommended.
Sears,
Didn't
to
have
you?
nothing to do with Adrian.
Okay, but you, and this is the, I'm just naming you,
And she ran out,
now.
and
well,
she
no,
gave
no.
up and quit
Okay.
on the kids of West New York.
Okay, you think she quit on the
Yeah,
kids in West New York?
as things as bad as it
Now,
was, and voted for things that
Did
were
you
ridiculous.
see what she said as far as she had a family to take
No,
care
that's
of?
an excuse.
That's quitting to
That's
you?
an excuse.
No,
I
no.
think it's an excuse.
Okay,
It was
you
a
say
reason to
it's an
leave.
excuse?
There's always gotta be a reason, right?
Okay, so you, okay. All
I
right.
don't agree that she got out of there while things were bad.
Having gone back to your question, yes, I do agree that it should be more people participating on the election process, and I do agree that every penny that we save is good.
Okay, this is how I see it, okay?
Mhm.
What you're doing is, you're pushing it to November.
No,
We
excuse
know-
me, excuse me, when you say I'm pushing.
You're looking to have it
I-
pushed
no,
to
no, no,
November.
no, no. You
Because
got
I
it
have
wrong.
no problem with it being in April. See, the way I look at it was 80% of the
Now,
vote.
what's your reason for having it in?
Let me
You
finish,
tell
I'll
me.
explain to you. 80% of the vote wanted this election to happen.
What is your purpose in April?
Even though you put out in your flyers, it's gonna raise taxes, it's gonna do this, it's
But
gonna do
let me
that.
ask you a question, is it raising tax, are we gonna have to pay extra for that
The
election?
money,
Yes
you
or
know, I
no?
always say this in a lot of things what you do.
Mhm.
Anything you do costs us double the money.
All right, but you're
Anything
saying
that
that it's
can
not
be
gonna
done to
cost us
correct-
anything, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
Because
let
I'm
me
gonna
ask you
use
this
it
question.
in the future.
What
You're
hap-
saying to
what's
the
wrong with
taxpayer,
June?
it's not gonna cost us
What's
any
wrong
money.
with June election?
You're saying to the taxpayers, it's not gonna cost
I
anything.
agree, let's do it in June. Why
You wanna do it in
November?
June? That's your, listen, let the town, let the people
Well, I'm
decide
gonna
when
make
to
a
do it.
motion tonight
Okay.
to have it moved to June.
That's the beauty of this country.
It's a primary, I think it's, you see, you miss it now.
Okay.
This, I'm gonna tell you the real reason why. Comes July, June, July again,
Mhm.
again, your members are gonna appoint, use this thing as a job mill again, as you've been doing.
Now, see,
Your
that's
sister's employed there, your
okay,
family
no,
members
no,
are
no, no,
employed
no.
there, and so is Silvio Costa's members.
I apologize. Don't get into my family, so I don't have to get in your family. Thank you.
Okay, bring it on, that's
Thank you.
okay, you
No,
do what you
no,
gotta do.
I
Let's not.
recommend that you don't go there because
A
you
lot
have
of
a lawsuit
nepotism.
established.
Let's
against
call
you.
it
let's-
nepotism.
You shouldn't be discussing
At
those
this
issues.
moment, the conversation between you and I stopped because now we're getting to the
No,
personal
I'm not
matter.
done yet.
And
No,
I'm
I'm
a
not
gentleman,
done
I don't
yet.
wanna do that, thank you.
Nepotism in this thing, you're using it as a
Okay.
job mill to provide jobs.
You're saying that.
You know,
Okay.
come June, July,
Mhm.
unless these people aren't appointed now, and then they have control of the board, the residents, the people of West New York,
Now, let me ask you.
you
a
would
question.
not be able to do what you've been doing for the past 3 years here.
Now, okay, having said what,
And I
you
think the
have an
people
answer
should
to my
have their
question,
voice
right?
heard, they want to change,
Okay, that's
and
your
they want it
opinion.
now.
You know what they say
But
about
you're
opinions,
taking
right?
away that person's ability, the people who voted 80% to have this election,
Listen,
82 to 18.
okay?
All I have to
You're
say
not
is-
letting the people
I
again.
don't have a hard
You're
feeling.
submissing
My
them,
hearing is perfect.
you're
Keep the
playing
people low,
politics
keep
so
it
you
low.
can continue to control and
Thank
go
you.
and go on with the
Okay.
tyrant that you've been doing.
Thank you.
That's what
I
you've
have
been
a
doing.
comment
Thank you.
if it helps.
It should be moved to June. If it
Okay.
doesn't matter,
That's
save
your
the taxpayers,
opinion.
it should be
That's
moved to
your
June.
opinion, thank you.
What are you guys already thinking here? You think June?
Commissioner,
I think June. What's the difference? Why November? Why can't I motion to have it in June?
But you have to break the state's law.
I
It's
have a
April,
comment.
then general election. That's
I
what
have
the
a comment.
statute,
Can I say a
the
comment?
statute says that.
Excuse me. Yes. I remember being in the assembly, people, 5 years ago. And I remember voting as a Democrat to move Board of Ed elections to November. To give the municipalities the option to pick that time to have it, to save money. Now, for instance, this past election turned out well. The Board of Ed spent about $100,000.
80.
All right, almost 100. And we spent on policing,
20 BT.
on more cleaning, on people how to take off, use their days off to work, whatever. Now, June is still a bipartisan election. You go to November when it's a general election. Everybody comes out in November. Because a lot of people refuse to come out in June if they don't like who's on their ticket that they can vote on. They're restricted to being a Republican or a Democrat. In November,
I understand.
there's a general election. And I remember vividly all voting for that to give the benefit of a municipality to save it till November, to save money. And to make it easier. And a lot of people come out on that time. Many people don't come out on a board election, because they don't have the urge for it. But yes, on a general election. That is the reason. And if it saves a little money and it makes more sense,
You know what,
And
I
I can't
would
vote
agree with you in
contrary.
a sense, but this is an emergency. This is something that I hate to use that word, that corruption needs to be stopped in Weston.
but this is only a few months
Okay?
down the line.
The abuse, the government abuse, abuse of power, that's what's going on here, that needs to
But
stop.
we're setting a
This
precedent for
is
the future,
detrimental,
Commissioner.
that's
We're
fine.
setting a
Well,
precedent.
after this election was over, we can set that precedent for that, and have them on, those
I, for
elections. This
instance,
is an
voted for
emergency.
this, I can't do the contrary. now. I
80%
can't
of the people wanted this election. Now you tell them they can't have what they want, and you're
There's
gonna
a
push it
reason.
back. The money, I mean, let's be
Commissioner, you know
realistic,
what?
the money that's been wasted, it's crazy. The salaries, the out-of-towners we're hiring here again.
Commissioner.
We're back to that again, right?
All right, thank
We
you.
have a
more.
better turnout in November.
All right, guys,
Three more.
We have a better
we got 5 more
turnout.
minutes, so we go upstairs. Anything else, Commissioner?
Is this part of the consent agenda?
Yeah, go ahead, let's go.
Want to establish the consent agenda? First of all, let me just confirm which resolutions are pulled. Resolutions 18, 19, 1, 4, and 22. Is that correct? Yes. That's right now. Does anybody disagree with that? I have 1, 4, 18, 19, 22.
Right.
Any other ones that are there?
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Shall we establish the consent agenda to consist of all the remaining resolutions? Is that what everyone wishes to do?
Yes.
Okay, so the consent agenda will consist of all resolutions excluding the ones that I just mentioned that were being pulled from the agenda.
Right.
At this point, unless there's any other questions by the Board of Commissioners, anyone in the public wish to speak, it's up to you, Mayor.
Absolutely.
We have the next meeting coming up shortly.
Why don't we take
We have
this
10
meeting
minutes.
upstairs?
Yeah, how about that?
Let me do this, guys. The town attorney made a good comment. That way to make it fair that everybody listens to this
Right.
question.
And they have
Let's go upstairs and let's do it.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
up to the
thank you so
public.
much. Thank you. Church.